everyone, and welcome down to episode, he checked his notes, 46 of the Down South Photo Show.
Michael Tuck?
I don't know. 46.
It's not a footy podcast.
And I'm not sure it's a number someone would be proud of.
Really?
46. That's up there.
Yeah, but some people have really crappy numbers.
Welcome to episode 46 with me, Brendan Waits, here in Ocean Grove, Southern Victoria, and the guy over on the other screen over there, Cam Blake, in Hobart Town, Tasmania. Good evening, Cameron.
Good evening, Brendan. Yes, you almost forgot where you lived then as well, didn't you? For a second.
It's been a busy week.
Yes, hello everyone, and hello to you.
First of all, let's start at the very top and apologise for not putting out the pod last week. Because one of us was interstate and the other one was very, very busy. He was the one interstate. I was the one both very busy, but he was interstate with family.
Yes.
And I'm in the throes of relocating a store and running a second one. So we had another week off. Sorry guys, but we'll try and make that up to you with a smashing episode tonight.
We made a point about this podcast when we started that if we put too much effort into it, it's going to be too hard work. So
correct.
That's why we don't put much effort into this. And
that's right.
Funnily enough, putting not much effort into it has got us over a milestone in subscribers, hasn't it?
It has. Cameron, would you like to make the big announcement?
We have reached over 300 subscribers on YouTube.
All right, 300.
Woo! There might be a little asterisk next to that 300.
Look, let's not spoil it.
No? Okay, let's leave.
We're pretty certain that at least 20 of them could be bots or spam or scammers or something. But
for some reason, our live show hit a chord with the subcontinent.
I think our live show would be classified as going bunter. It went nuts. Something
happened.
Something's gone on. We're not sure what it is, but the live show was viewed by a substantially bigger audience than we've ever had a live show viewed before. So we'll just leave it at that. But the feedback from the genuine audience that actually did watch the live show was outstandanding. So thank you so much for those of you who tuned in Sunday week ago and enjoyed.
Was it that long ago?
It's a week and a half as we're recording this ago, nearly 2 weeks as this comes out. So again, congratulations to Ben on winning the camera, the Nikon D5100. It is on its way to you, Ben.
Did you send it via Australia Post?
I'm afraid so, unfortunately.
Okay, well, bad luck, Ben, you didn't get a camera.
That's right. The camera will be even more outdated by the time you get it.
Yeah, it'll be like a 1950s camera, won't it?
Should you, when you mail a camera somewhere, should you charge the battery and then take the battery out?
I don't know. Or just leave it in there and let it leak.
Because I charged the battery, but I didn't take it out anyway. Depends on how long Australia Post take to deliver the bad boys. So.
There is certain rules with that, isn't there? You can't put certain things in post and batteries on planes. And
there's rules, that's right, on carry-on luggage. See, you said we wouldn't have a topic to talk about tonight, but here we go.
We still don't have a topic to talk about.
No, well, that's right. I know with carry-on luggage, they do encourage, particularly if you're carrying a drone, they do encourage you to take your batteries out and put them in a separate plastic bag.
Right,
Must be, I don't know, to prevent
it's almost
lithium batteries bursting into flames or something. I'm not sure what that's for.
It's almost like the old school when you used to take film on a plane, you have to put it in the X-ray bags and stuff like that. Yeah. That process has now been replaced by lithium batteries for cameras and laptops and stuff like that. So, but I've actually come up with a topic and it's on the list now. I reckon it's a good topic we can talk about. But
that is a great topic. Excellent. I'll have to come to that.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
I just had a quick glance. We will come to that shortly.
Yeah. So,
but funny you should mention the old X-raying of film. I actually had a lady ring me up yesterday at the store and asked that very question. Said, I'm traveling with a few rolls of film.
Yeah.
Should I be careful? And I said, are you going to any third world countries? And the answer was no. I was like, well, then you're probably going to be fine. And even then, I don't think it's an issue anymore. I think it was the older X-ray scanners.
Right. Yeah.
Really old ones used to. I traveled with film through a lot of Southern Africa, like 20 years ago. And
you've been to Africa? Never knew that.
There you go. There's a lot of things you don't know about me, Cam.
The more I dig and scratch, the more I find.
Yes, I went to. You know that I went to the 2003 Cricket World Cup.
Oh yeah, you did too.
In South Africa.
We went to the Cricket World Cup in Melbourne, didn't we?
We did. That was the third World Cup of it.
Anyway, this is not a cricket, football, or whatever show.
Sports show. Let's talk about our backgrounds. I'm going to start with yours.
Oh, okay. I'll start with mine then.
Yeah, and I'm going to make you full screen, and then you're going to hide yourself, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah. I know the secret to hiding yourself.
I don't know how to do it.
Just put your thumb over your camera.
I can't. My camera's up there.
Oh no, you can't reach it. You're gonna have to do the Houdini disappearing act.
I'm just gonna sit here with my big fat head in the way. So this is a photo that I took on my recent trip up to southeast Queensland, I guess we call it. So this is the Glasshouse Mountains National Park. It's a very, very popular national park and very, I guess, famous national park around Australia. This is on top of Mount, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it. It's Ngun, Nungun.
Let's stick with that.
I don't know. You really put me on. And I'm big screen now, aren't I? I'm making a complete dick of myself.
That's right, you are. You're full screen. For those of you listening, Cam is full screen.
full screen, making a dick of himself. Anyway, so it's about a 30-minute sort of hike up or walk up this beautiful trail at the top of this mountain. And you come up onto this ridge line, and you got the two mountains behind us here. And there's a couple of other mountains on the other side. But you get 360-degree views from the mountains there. It's got all these beautiful vineyards and orchards down below. And got up there at the right time, just at the last part of the day, and took a few snaps. But it was beautiful. We spent a bit of time in this area, and also spent a bit of time further down on the border of New South Wales and Queensland, where you've got the Springbrook National Park and Tamborine and Lamington National Park and a few other places down there. So as I mentioned last episode, on the live episode, this is a bit of scouting for something I'll be rolling out soon about some workshops all around Australia, visiting some pretty unique and significant regions of Australia. So this is ticked off. There'll be something going on in this region next year as a workshop. So keep your eyes out for that. But we had a good time, beautiful spot. Cool. And we'll probably talk about that a bit more.
I reckon now this is going to test me, but I reckon the mountain that's right at the back, is that called Mount Tibrogargan?
Oh, you're just showing off now.
I think it is.
It could be.
I used to live just down the road from there, so I should know. And the Wild Horse Lookout on the side of the Bruce Highway is a really good spot to take photos.
Well, I went to there.
Wild Horse, Crazy Horse. No, that's a throwback. That's a throwback to my youth. Wild Horse Lookout, definitely.
It's so funny. I do have. Is there a Crazy Horse one in there? I would never know. I did actually go. It's funny though. It's funny when you go around to these places around Australia, and I'm not big noting myself, I haven't been around Australia much, but where I have been, you go to the thing and down the bottom it says, look out, 500 meters, 10-minute walk.
Yeah.
Well, Wild Horse Lookout, we went there, and I was traveling with Lisa and the kids, and I went there and it said it was a 700-meter walk to the top. I'm like, I'm not going to do it with the kids. I might come back on the sunset. They can go have some dinner and I'll go take a photo. And I got there and I walked up there and I'm like, this is a bloody hard walk. And it wasn't 10 minutes. And it was 700 meters, but it wasn't 10 minutes.
Yes.
And then I got up the top and there was a lady who was up there. Her name escapes me at the moment. She followed me on Instagram, a lady from Victoria, actually. And she walked up there and we both said to each other, there's no way that's a 10-minute walk. And then you go down to the Glasshouse Mountains here and climb this lookout here. And it says it's, allow up to 20 minutes. It's a 30-minute, 40-minute walk. But when you come down to Tassie and you do walks around here, it says, it's a 3-hour walk to that lookout, and you're there in 2 minutes. Like some parks and wildlife have some really warped sense of humour, or don't know how to keep time very well. Because
maybe that's because it's still 1975 in Queensland. And there goes a few of our subscribers.
Yeah, you've done that well, haven't you? Yeah, they'll be back next week.
I'm an honorary Queenslander, Cam. I lived up there for 10 years, so that's fine. I can get away with cracking smart-ass jokes.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to do something on the fly here.
Go on.
Look, is it going to work? It does.
Hey.
So this is the Wild Horse Lookout. Yeah,
that's right.
From there as well. So I did walk up there on a different sunset. And we had these really cool sunsets they just sort of went on a bit longer than I expected them to. And we got every now, we talk about the twilight and the golden hour and the blue hour. Well, there was almost like a yellow hour up there. Like it didn't really go to blue hour. It went to this really funky sort of orangey yellow light glow.
I can see that.
Yeah, and we had it each night we're up there, apart from the first night where it just rained. So yeah, it was a pretty cool trip. Beautiful part of the world, and got some nice images, and like I said, put together some details for a workshop and visit that we're doing up here. For those playing at home, maybe we'll just chuck another one up here. Went to another Pearling, I think it was called Pearling Brook Falls, which is pretty cool. Nice. Yeah, so we had a good time, and got lots of nice photos. And we'll talk about the topic that I just made up in the fly, whether or not you can actually go on holidays with your family and still get good photos. I think you can. Like anyway, like that's enough about my background.
Yeah, it's funny because here I am saying, no, we'll talk about the topic later, but it's already like on the thumbnail. So
yeah, that's right.
It's already the description of the very show that you watch. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah, that's right. So where are you? You're on a waterfall somewhere.
So watch this. Like magic.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Yeah, just cover your. Have
you made yourself big? Have you made yourself big on this?
So probably. I don't know. Anyway, no, see that'll probably make you big. Anyway, this is Erskine Falls, which is up behind Lorne.
Yes.
In the Great Otway National Park.
Yes.
And this photo was taken about 5 hours ago.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Right.
I went for a little spin up there. So I've got my some family visiting. So I
saw your twin brother.
Yes, my brother from the same mother from New Zealand is over, which is great. Visiting with his two kids and his daughter's boyfriend as well. So there was 4 of them, and me and my boy Harvey, and Harvey took the day off school today to hang out with his cousins, and we decided to go to Lorne and do this. I mean, Erskine Falls, I'm sure a few of you listening have been there before. It's a nice waterfall to go visit. It's a pain in the bum to photograph, mainly because that angle that you see there is it. That's very, very well boardwalked, which is great because it protects the area. But forget trying to get anywhere else because it's just the rocks are just so treacherous, and it
looks like there's a lot of debris.
There's a lot of debris at the moment. I was actually thought the falls would be a bit more pumping than that, but anyway, that literally just from the lookout right at the end. And if you see, where am I pointing? Just there, that tree, if you go this way just a little bit, that tree completely obscures the falls. So it's literally this gap in these trees here.
And that's a small gap, yeah.
So the only comp you can get to have all of Erskine Falls in is this. And I think every man and his dog has got the exact same photo. But it is what it is. It's fine. It was still good to dust the camera off. And that's basically zero filter because it was quite dark under the canopy in there. So I think that was a half a second exposure with no filter, tripod mounted, 2 second self timer. There you go.
Bang. That's the thing with waterfalls as well. And where we went, there was the first. So we actually changed our trip. We were flying into Brisbane and then going to drive down to Sydney. And then we went, no, we're not going to do that because Noah's building his ark halfway down the coastline. So we're not going there. So we ended up just staying up in Brisbane, Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Noosa. But the first 2 days that we were there, we had a fair bit of rain in the Gold Coast. So we went and did all the waterfalls. Again, this is where picking the right weather for the right things. And what you said about your waterfall there was the same thing what I did. Like I still had my polarizer on, but it was a tripod, 2 second timer, F11 or something like that, whatever it was, press the thing. And I was getting at least a second, even, mid-morning with all the cloud around. So it's a really easy lesson to learn when you're doing waterfalls, is that you've got to pick the right day to do it. So the waterfalls are generally in rainforests, and rainforests are called rainforests for a reason. So get into the rainforest when it's raining and a bit wet and a bit moist. Take an umbrella, take whatever you need to keep your gear dry. But that's when you're going to get those real lush shots like Brendan's got behind his shot there as well. So make sure you do it. Make sure you get yourself prepared, and you'll get shots like Brendan.
Yeah, and for those of you who know Erskine Falls, it's a short walk, but it's like really steep, and it's like 240 stairs or something down, and then of course 240 back up. And the correct footwear is essential. We had a little bit of slippage going on with our visitors.
So no flip flops.
No, nothing quite that bad. No jandals from the Kiwis.
Jandals, that's fine, yeah.
But yeah, that was good. It was a great day out. As I say, got behind the camera. Really, only there was my only opportunity to take photos because it was a bit drizzly and a bit miserable all the way down. But it did remind me of just how beautiful the Great Ocean Road really is. Particularly areas this side of Lorne. So everyone knows, if you head west of Lorne and you get to Apollo Bay and Cape Otway and the 12 Apostles, the Some Apostles, Port Campbell and all that, Port Campbell, without question, is the jewel in the crown, but the rest of the crown itself should be explored as well. And Lorne, there's an area between Lorne and Anglesea. It's where Split Point Lighthouse is, Aries Inlet, Fairhaven. Absolutely stunning. And a lot of people skip over it because they're so keen to get to the big, as I say, the jewels in the crown. So don't forget about those areas. And Erskine Falls, do yourself a favor, get up there. I think we should. You can't go wrong
with that region, and that's the beauty about any state in Australia. That's what I'm sort of learning as well, is that, you know, there is spots anywhere you go. You should not struggle. You know, within a 100K radius of where you live, there should be something that you can find that you can shoot that's going to look pretty cool. So.
Yes.
If we've said it once, we'll say it again. You've really got to explore your own region and really get out there and have a look and see what's happening, because there can be some really cool little treasures hiding around everywhere. So
hidden gems.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So can you holiday with your family and still get good images?
Probably not. Next question.
This is traveling with kids and a camera.
Yeah.
So what was your experience over the last week?
It was a mixed experience. It was pure joy, and in some stages pure nightmare. But that's what you get when you got a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old. You know, you're going to get that juggling act. And you know, I saw heaps of families out there. It was great to see so many families walking around the national parks and doing stuff. But I think I turned a bit of a corner on this trip, because I used to think that going out with the kids or the family and then trying to get some sort of decent photos is just a no-no. I'd just written it off. But on this trip, I think I was able to sort of balance a bit more, and it took a bit of extra planning to get it right. But I think the secret to what I found on this trip is that you still need to involve the family and the kids in what you're doing. If you're going away on a family holiday and purely just racking off every day to go to your own photos, it's never going to end well. But for example, the shot behind me up this lookout, I'd planned to take the whole family up there, and it was pretty steep climb in sections, and up the top was a bit sketchy in sections according to all reports before we got there. But the kids walked their own pace with Lisa, checked out the ferns. There was a big cave, there was a few other things, and I just bolted up to the top. I thought I'll get up there for sunset. Lisa said, "Look, we'll walk as far as we can to a certain point. We'll turn back to the car, and we'll meet you back at the car when you come down." And that worked really well. So I think you can actually go away with your family. And if you plan it, and you've got to log in time to do the things that the kids and the family want to do. But I think you can actually do it and be successful. And as we've said on this show 1,000 times, most of the time we're not shooting much during the middle of the day. 10 o'clock till 3 o'clock is usually go to the pub or do some editing or do something else.
Yes.
So, if you can work around that, we did Dreamworld one day and I was doing a sunset shot that night. You can work around how it is. So, yeah, I think it's a good topic, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who listen and watch that have families who think, "Oh, bugger that, I'm not going away with the camera," because it's just going to be a nightmare. I think you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. From my experience,
and you've got kids, exactly. Yeah.
My kids are a little bit older than yours, and like they're well into their teens now. In fact, I can't believe it. My daughter's nearly 16. How did that happen? I found when they were little, it wasn't so bad, because I would definitely take one of them with me if we're on holiday. I remember vividly a trip we did to Malakuta in far eastern Victoria, and I took my daughter with me. She was like 4, 3 or 4, but she loved the experience of coming with me when I was out taking photos, because it was I think she just enjoyed the time that we had. And of course, you can't take a 4-year-old everywhere. Like, you're not going to take them scrambling up a mountainside. But this was at a beach location, and she actually really enjoyed it, because what I did was gave her a little camera, a little compact digital camera that I had, and showed her how to push the button and make images when she was like 4.
Yeah.
And that's sort of stuck with her to this day as well, which can be quite good. There are cameras out there that you can get for kids, but even just a cheapy compact camera, like a little Canon Ixus, or one that you've no doubt got in your drawer somewhere.
I was going to say, no doubt we've got people who listen who have boxes of cameras like we do, just sitting there. It might not be your kids, it might be grandkids or something like that. But put a camera in their hand. And I was the same. Like Autumn and my daughter Autumn used to always come at me before Jamison came along. For the first 3 or 4 years, she was always out with me doing stuff. But she doesn't have as much interest in that, but she still loves nature. So, you can still incorporate, hey, let's go for a walk. We may not get up to the top, but Dad wants to go do some photos at the top. You stay with Mum, and, they were pointing out ferns, and they were looking for bugs and looking for lizards and goannas and whatever else they could find. So you can incorporate it. I think it just takes a bit more patience and a bit more planning, and probably a few more drinks when you get home and when the kids go to bed.
That's right. It's a good way to tire them out, and they normally hit the sack pretty quickly when you get back home.
That's the other thing as well. Yeah.
But I remember when I was with my daughter on the beach, from a safety point of view, if I wanted to take photos, further up the beach, or I'd never get more than 30 or 40 meters away from her. But what I did was I set my camera tripod up. And I said, okay, this is your spot where you get to sit in under the tripod. And she loved it. She sat in there within the confines of the legs of the tripod, and just played in the sand and watched me take photos. It was really cool. So it can be done, as you say. I actually find it's harder sometimes. Like today, for example, when I had my brother with me, and I felt I didn't want to hold anyone up by taking photos. So I today wrote the day off as we're just going for a drive to show the guys the countryside and show them Erskine Falls and that sort of stuff. And there was a couple of times when the light looked pretty cool, but I won't stop. I'll end up stopping and want to be here for 45 minutes, and that sort of ruins their experience, So it's always better if you're going to take photos. Ideally, you go on your own, but when you are holidaying with your fam, it can be.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. I think as photographers, we all have that, we're selfish in our own way, but we're also not, where we don't want to take up other people's time, and, you might put the camera away. And it took me a while to sort of get my head around that, is that if I'm on family holidays, I'm not there to take, cracking photos. I'm there to take some happy snaps and, enjoy the time. And then if I get some time to go and do some shots, I will. But on this trip, because it was a bit of a scouting trip / sort of working holiday, so to speak, I sort of knew I was going to allocate some time to these photos and do what I needed to do. But it worked really well. And I'll put up another photo. I actually did something I never thought I'd ever do in my entire photography career, ever. I'm shocked myself.
I think I know where this is going.
Do you? Yeah. I don't know if you do. I bought my son a yellow rain jacket.
Yeah.
And I religiously hate those things. But we went to one of the forests. And
wet that he had to have one.
Yeah, he had to have one. But what we did, that's a bit of a moving shot. But what I started to do as well, and this is a really good tip for others who might be doing sort of trips with their family, is, you can always just actually take photos and think of it as in a tourism mindset. So I actually started taking photos, because whenever I've done work for tourism boards, it's like, we want people in shots. We want people enjoying being immersed in it. Well, you can actually do that if you put your family in it. You don't have to show their faces, and you can keep it, a bit of blur motion. But I started doing that down the trails as the kids and Lisa were walking. It's like, I'll take a few shots of them walking across a bridge and blurring it, or, in between trees and stuff like that. So, you can be creative and still get some good shots. So, but I did find out there was a lady called Melanie Wilson, is the lady I met at the top of Wild Horse.
No doubt a follower and subscriber of the Down South Photo Show as well.
Maybe.
Hello,
Melanie.
Of course she's
but it wasn't the only person I met on this trip. This is ridiculous, right? So I'm in the middle of Springbrook National Park. There's a real famous waterfall there called Natural Bridge, where the waterfall falls through this sort of chasm into this hole.
Yes.
We're in the cave section. So my kids are in the cave doing the whole thing that kids do, screaming and making echoes and trying to outdo the waterfall. And Lisa's trying to manage the kids, and I'm trying to manage the kids, and I'm trying to manage the camera and all this kind of stuff. And I set my tripod up. I thought, they're going to walk off and continue on. I'll spend 10 minutes here and do a few shots. Anyway, I set my tripod up, and there was another photographer hiding even further around in this cave. And you know what everyone's like when you see another photographer. You either loathe them or you're like, oh, leave them alone or whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw this guy over there, and he sort of double looked at me, and I'm like, oh, maybe he thinks I'm going to go crash his party or crash his spot. Anyway, I'm setting up the tripod. Kids are running around being silly, and this guy walks over to me and he goes, "Are you on Facebook?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "What's your name?" I said, "Oh, Cam Blake." I knew it was you. I'm like, here we go. So this guy is a gentleman named Les Oakey. He's a photographer also on Facebook. He's good friends with a customer of mine who's been on a few workshops, and
gotcha.
He goes, such and such, don't you? I'm like, yeah, well, she's coming down one of the trips with me later in the year. He goes, oh, I knew it was you. Nice to meet you. And, we exchanged details, and he was there with his family. I was there with my family, but I was in the middle of a cave in southeast of Queensland where I'd never been before, and someone recognised me. Like, come on. So
don't you love it?
So shout out to Les if you're listening and watching as well.
Of course.
But
you worked the Down South Photo Show podcast into the conversation, right?
I didn't mention it once.
Oh, God damn it.
I'm shit house. I'm absolutely shit. Like even Melanie, when we're up at the top of the Wild Horse Lookout, there's a few people up there taking photos, and I don't like to impose. I just like to set up and take it in. I'm usually pretty quiet when I'm on my own taking photos, which is unusual for me.
Yeah.
And so this lady Melanie was next to me, and she was playing with settings, and I could sort of see every now and then she was sort of looking at my camera, and vice versa. And then she got the courage, because I wasn't going to say anything, and she got the courage. She goes, "Oh, what settings are you using?" And then we started talking.
And you just said the correct ones.
No, I didn't. I said what I'm using. And, she was a Nikon user or Canon. She might have been a Canon user, so she was good actually. And so we got talking, and she was talking about she's going to New Zealand to do a photo trip and a few other things. It took me like 15 minutes to finally say, well, actually, I do that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay. So she took my details and stuff like that. I didn't plug the show though.
That's fine.
It's on my website.
I'd like to give a shout out to Lily and Hugh, who are now subscribers of the show.
Oh, beautiful.
They might be subscribers 302 and 303.
Right, yeah.
Lily and Hugh.
Where are they from?
They're from New Zealand.
Oh, they're family, aren't they?
They are. They are my nephew and my niece who said, Uncle Brendan, you've got a podcast. What is it? And they straight away on their phones and subscribe. So they will be watching and listening. So hello to them.
G'day. Welcome. G'day to them.
They were stood right beside me when I shot this photo today. So
right. So they comp stomping you?
No. But just to your point about what you said before resonated with me. And that is when you're at a location and you see another photographer. My first instinct is I'm keeping out of this person's way. It's just because I know how much I hate it when I'm trying to take a photo and a photographer just waltzes in and sets up a tripod or aren't aware of what's going on around them. So I get really patient all of a sudden, which is so unlike me. But I'm like, no, you do your thing. I'm going to let you finish your shot, and then I'm going to get in there and take the same shot. So that sort of thing. It can be a bit awkward sometimes, but I always just you go.
Here's another observation for you. This is not that we like to be controversial on this show or anything.
One of us does.
One of us does. I know it's you. You're the one that's going to sue people and take them to court. And God. So the two people I met, Les and Melanie, they were my age or a little bit older. That's the polite way of saying it, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they weren't. Maybe they might have been the same age. Maybe Melanie might have been a bit younger. I don't know. Anyway, so on the top of Wild Horse and down at the waterfall in Springbrook, I get up to the top of this shot here at Mount Nung Nung, I'll call it, Nung Nung, or Gung Gung, whatever it is. Look it up and pronounce it for me.
I'm doing it now.
Yeah, so I'm on the top of this mountain, and I get up there, and you sort of come over this little peak or little sort of ridge onto this side, so you get this view in front of me that I've got here.
Yep.
And I walk over the hill, and I kid you not, there was about 7 or 8 young ladies dressed in crop tops and bike shorts doing Instagram poses. Like it was almost like it was set up fake. It was just a line of them. They all were different. They didn't know each other. Yeah. All different people, had a couple of friends with them. Oh, you need to stick your bum out more. You need to do this, you need to do that. And I went for, I said, for God's sake, okay, I'm going to move up a bit further. And I saw a guy further on the peak taking photos. I'm like, all right, I'll move up that way. I'll get out of the Instagram class and I'll move up to the photography class. And I get up there and he's flying his drone around at eye level, almost taking people's heads off. And there's another guy flying drones around. I'm like, I'm just going to find my little patch, like, just be patient, just to put the blinkers on. I went, I'm here for the light. I'm here for the view, get my breath back, whatever. So this guy, was the photographer, had his camera out. He was shooting long lenses, short lenses. The whole thing had a tripod up. For the whole 30 minutes I was there, I reckon he would have been no more than 5 meters away from me. And there's a couple of times I tried to engage eye contact, just to say g'day or whatever. Gave me absolutely nothing. Didn't even acknowledge my existence. Didn't even sort of say, "Oh, g'day, mate." There was another guy who walked up who cracked a beer and started smoking a fag, and he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, you go, mate." I said, "That's the way you do it. You get up the top and kill a few brain cells." He had a chat with this other guy, but he was a younger guy. He would have been maybe in his 20s, I reckon. But he had no interest. I could tell he had no interest at all. He even had his little pods in like you've got.
Yeah.
He had no interest at all engaging with anyone around.
I'm listening to Pink Floyd. I'm not listening to you.
That's right. That's fair enough. Surprised anyone listens to me. So maybe it's a generational thing. I don't know, but I'm the same. I get to a point or a location. I don't want to bombard someone, or I don't want to. I certainly don't get in their way. I'll certainly be patient like you do. But at some stage, it's nice to say, "Oh, g'day, how you going?" Or "Isn't this beautiful?" Or "How nice is this?" Or "I'm glad I got up here."
Yeah.
I have found in my travels that the majority of people that want to engage in that conversation are our age and maybe a bit older.
Yeah.
And the ones that are younger and more maybe social media savvy and more interested in doing that don't seem to have any interest at all in engaging with anyone. And to me, I think it's a bit of a shame because, you can learn stuff off each other. You can, give each other tips of where they've been and locations maybe to go. But
no, it's a big country. There's plenty of room for everyone to take their own photo. But I actually just think it's the way of the world at the moment. Whether it be a result of the COVID mess and people not engaging with people as much. I'm even finding on the streets there's less people smiling and saying g'day, which is hopefully will change. But interesting.
I noticed that when I came back to Melbourne last year, went through the city. And no eye contact, in and out, nothing. It was like, this place has changed. But
I'm going to roll with Nungan.
Nungan.
I'm going to say there's the first G, so NG. That G is silent. I think it's Nungan.
Nungan. Okay, Mount Nungan. Look out.
Mount Nungan. That sounds right.
Yeah, and the little mountain behind me here.
Yep.
Is called Cunarin, Mount Cunarin, I think it is. Okay. And he's got a crooked neck, and there's an indigenous story about this.
Cunarin.
Cunarin. There's an indigenous story about this, and there's I love the indigenous stories around these places that I'm finding, and it's a really interesting story to look up. But so anyway, that was the topic. I thought traveling around with family. I think you can still do it. I think you can certainly have. We had a great time. It's one of the best holidays I've been on, and we did. And the thing was, we just did it really easy. We didn't push every day. We just had nice, relaxed. We went whale watching out at Noosa. That was pretty cool.
Lovely.
The kids loved that. We had a dolphin literally pop up next to the boat and put his head on the boat.
Did you get some humpbacks?
I got one whale breaching, and I got a whole heap of flapping fins and stuff like that. But it was really nice, just beautiful morning, and so we had a great time. So I think don't discount going away with family and taking nice photos. Just be maybe a bit more patient. Add a bit of time in there. And then, if you can allocate the morning and evening to your photos when you probably should be for landscape, then I think you can have full days and still get away with some nice shots.
But ideally leave them at home and go on your own.
Exactly. Go with a mate instead.
That's right. Someone who likes photography and beer. You want to talk quickly about the Beaker Street Science Photo Award?
I do, yes. So I put in my votes just before I went away. But what's happened now is the final 12 images have been selected. You can certainly go and see them if you go onto the Beaker Street.
Link in description.
It'll be in the description. Or if you just go to Beaker Street Facebook page, you'll see the 12 finalists. So I judged 6 of them, and the other 6 were judged online through a public vote. But you can go on there and have a look and see which ones are doing well and which ones have been selected. And the winner gets announced later this month, early next month, I think it is.
Yeah. So these are photos that they're looking for more of a scientific bent, aren't they?
They are and they aren't. It has to have a scientific element, but that's quite broad when you talk about photography, because photography is a science.
The photo behind me, that shows gravity.
Yeah, that shows, well, it also shows elements of water. It also shows flora, probably shows fauna, probably shows a whole heap of different things. Geology.
Shows terrible composition.
Terrible compositions. It probably has micro fungi there. You know, it's open to a lot of interpretation, but there is some pretty strict rules about manipulating and composing and dropping skies and things like that. But yeah, if you have a look, Beaker Street photo contest, Beaker Street Science Photo Prize. Go have a look at that. There's an album which will be in the link. I'm going to put the links in the note down below you, Brendan, so you know which one it is.
Well done.
So you can go check that out. And there's some cracking images in there. So yeah, put your thoughts in what you think about that, and maybe we can get people to try and pick who I picked as the winner out of those 12 shots, and put it in the comments below who you think is going to win. Yeah, and who knows?
There's some really cool shots, guys. Cam very generously gave me a sneak preview a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, some really good stuff in there. There's a couple that really spun my wheels.
Yeah, and you know what I've just thought about? I haven't sent out the Dear Cam 8x12 print. I haven't sent that out yet.
Well,
my apologies. I'm
sure they will come a knocking.
They will get it this way. I've got to do some printing tomorrow, so look out.
Segue of all segues.
Pretty good, wasn't it?
Time for everyone's favorite segment of the show. You can. Episode 45. 45? Where are we? 40. Why does it say episode 45 there?
Because you're not doing your job properly.
I know. Do I ever? Dear Cam. This one starts Dear Cam and Brendan. See, someone knows how to.
All right, I'll check out then. Over to you, Brendan.
Have you ever produced a photo book? I am looking to have one made and was wondering which company you might recommend. Jill from Bendigo. Hello, Jill.
The old photo book question.
Yeah. Well, have you ever produced one?
I haven't. I've done a couple. I've been involved with a couple of books, and I've done a book. Yeah. But I was commissioned to do the major book I've done. I was commissioned to do.
So that would have been through a full-blown publisher, printing press.
That was through Hardy Grant Publishing in Melbourne.
So I think where Jill's coming from is your more bespoke,
like your memento books and
making just a handful of copies.
I haven't done. I think I did one a few years ago. I know Lisa's done a few of our photos and weddings and things like that.
Yep.
But I do know it's got a lot easier and a lot better since I did my one yonks ago. But I think they're a great idea, and I actually encourage people on the workshops to come along, that if they get back from a trip, for example, the Tarkine or Cradle Mountain, or if they've done a trip with Tassie, put a book together, because it's fairly straightforward. The quality that comes out of them is generally pretty good these days. But I don't know which companies, and you probably know more about it than I do, but I don't know which companies you would recommend over one another. So this might be over to you, Brendan.
I have done a few over the journey for friends and family, and I've done one of my own photography. And I've used about 4 different companies, starting with your cheapest possible option, which is Snapfish.
Yep.
I threw that in the bin as soon as it arrived. It was that bad. Sorry, can we say that? I don't know. Anyway, I've said it.
You seem to bring up the legal challenges every episode.
With most printing, you get what you paid for, and that's very, very apparent in photo book printing. The best, without question, and the most consistent is Blurb, BLURB, blurb.com. I've used them probably for my last 3 or 4 books that I've put together for clients, and you do pay more for it, but it doesn't matter. Like you'll forget how much it costs the minute you look at it, because you can see they really do put in a fair bit of effort with, and you can have choices for the papers that you can use. Great. Blurb, hands down, Jill. Check those guys out. You probably, if you're looking at say a 60 to 80 page book, you're going to pay more than $100 for it, but you have to remember that these are one-off things. They're proper coffee table books. They look fantastic. You're going to have them forever. Spend a bit more on your photo book. It just cracks me up when I talk to people who have just spent, $70,000 on a European holiday, or, traveled somewhere for weeks, and then come back and they get a photo book for $19.95.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no. Yeah. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah, no, you don't want to do that. I'm just looking at their website now. It looks pretty interesting, actually.
Blurb are cool.
And they can actually help you self-publish your own book. And
yeah, they're really good like that. You can create an account with them, and so what you can do is you can create an account. They'll save your book for you, and if you want to start selling your book, they'll make them on demand, basically. Obviously, the more copies that you produce at one time, the cheaper per edition. Yeah. But for you photographers who might be interested in you putting your greatest hits together in a book form and giving it to friends and family for Christmas, here's a great idea. My business, Camera and Photo, does not do photo books. I just don't have the person power to be able to generate photo books. Nor the desire to want to help a customer create one, purely because they take so much time. They're a time-consuming thing, and people, when you're spending that kind of money, you want to get it right. So generally, I think the last book I put together, I want to say about 5 to 6 hours of putting it together, of making sure it's positioned properly, then proofreading it if I'm doing text and that sort of thing. So Blurb, people.
You've got me interested now. I'm in the process of doing a book together with Tom Putt. We're doing a book on Cradle Mountain, and he does a lot of books. He does a couple of books a year. He's a very big publisher of photo books, but he gets a lot of it. I think he gets a lot of it done overseas. But I would love to put some books together. This is interesting, Brendan. You've sparked a fire in me here.
So the dear Cam has delivered.
It has for me. That's worth looking at. But I think photo books are great, and that's that age-old thing that we talk about on here as well. Is you shoot your photo, you edit your photo, and then they sit on hard drives. Like put them in a book or print them out, or like you said, great. It's a great gift for Christmas or family or birthdays or whatever it might be. I can't think of anything nicer than someone putting the effort together to put their photos in a book and then thoughtfully give it to you as a present. I think that's a great idea.
100%.
Awesome.
Do it, folks. Get your photos and show them off.
So blurb is the way to go.
Blurb.com. What's coming up for us, Cam? I know you're off to Western Australia.
Yeah, I've got.
What a globetrotter you are at the moment.
I'm knackered, mate.
A country trotter, we should say.
Country trotter. Yeah, we're on the globe still. So actually, this weekend I've got a Cradle Mountain OM Digital Day, which is coming up. I've actually got some news about OM Digital, which I'll be able to share probably next week or the week after. A very good teaser, actually. It's come out of left field, which is good. I'll tell you off air, but we'll tease everyone else. So I've got an OM Digital Day at Cradle Mountain this weekend. We might even get some snow up there, which is going to be pretty cool. Although the minibus doesn't usually handle the snow roads that well. But we'll make it work. hang on, folks.
I sense a story coming on.
maybe a national news story.
That's right.
So we do that Saturday morning, all day Saturday pretty much. And then next Thursday I head to Perth and do a 4-day or 3.5-day workshop with Seng Ma. We're going to the southwest of WA to go do some stuff.
Magnificent coastline down there.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because I haven't really spent much time down there or seen much of it. So I am chomping at the bit to get there. So that's next Thursday. And then when I get back, that'll be, I got a Cradle Mountain winter workshop in this first sort of week or so of August, and also an East Coast trip in August. So I'm a busy little beaver, which is great. Just got to balance it, which I am. I'm balancing it well at the moment. So,
speaking of workshops, I've relaunched finally my workshops. So my very popular entry-level SLR workshop, which is basically a getting to know your camera kind of workshop that we do in the store at Camera and Photo in Ocean Grove and Torquay. Those workshops are limited to 6 people, run for about 2 hours. And last count, I think I've done like 450 people through that workshop or something. It's very, very good. And well, if I do say so myself, the feedback I get is very, very good about how that works.
Is that provided by yourself, that feedback?
That's right.
That's awesome.
This is
and how much do you charge for those entry workshops?
$99.
2 and a bit hours or 2 hours or so.
Yeah, it not always runs late, but we try and we kick it off at the Ocean Grove one is at 6 o'clock on a Monday evening, and the Torquay one is 10 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
And do people have to provide their own cameras?
So ideally people come along with their own camera. Now, what we find is it's people who have gone to the camera store and they've bought the camera and then they've got it home and gone, why the hell did I buy this thing? I've got no idea what I'm doing with it.
Yeah.
And we all know that camera manuals are written in Dalek. Yeah. So no one's got any idea how to read them. So the idea is that we break it right down to absolute basics. And I've actually had a couple of photographers who have been quite experienced have come along to the workshop because it's just a refresher for them. They're like, yeah, okay, I've been doing that wrong the whole time.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Yeah. Yep. I think, sometimes having a refresh is good as well. I get some people like that on my workshops as well, where they're highly experienced photographers and know a lot about photography, but they're like, I didn't know my camera did that.
That's right.
It's like, oh,
I love it. I quite often during one of these workshops, I will have the penny drop moment, and I call it out when I hear it. And someone goes, that's why I spent $1,500 on this thing, right? It's more than just a clock.
That's more than the clock and a paperweight on the desk.
Yeah, that's right. So I love doing it. So my workshops I market as 50% education, 50% inspiration. So the idea is, when you leave,
that's a marketing slogan.
Thank you very much. When you leave my workshop, ideally you want to go out and take photos. We provide notes and all that sort of stuff. So if you're in the area and you want to do one of these workshops,
I'll check my roster. Oh, you mean? Oh, sorry, with everyone else.
Oh no, I'm sure you'd learn something.
When is it? Maybe
I can't remember. It's in a couple of weeks, but anyway, as I say, it'll be linked below.
We need to start thinking about putting a little workshop together ourselves.
It's going to happen.
It's got to happen.
As you've just heard, folks, there's a few forges in the fire here, so we'll have to work another one in at some point.
Just pick a weekend. I'll come up and we'll put it on.
That's right.
Simple.
Or I'll come down.
Nah, you won't come down.
True. Who are we kidding? The new shop opens on Monday, so it's a massive weekend for me coming up, where we're relocating a shop, even though it's only 130 meters away from the current shop. It's a lot of gear to move.
Across,
look, it might as well be in Adelaide. It's just that you've still got to handle it with kid gloves and get it all across. So
and did I hear correctly that the first week of your new shop, it's 100% off everything? Is that correct?
100% off. That's an interesting way of saying just come and take all my stuff.
I'm sure that's what you said. So get on down.
Yeah, that's right.
No, that's exciting. That'll be good.
Yeah, it is good. I'm looking forward to a new chapter in the business. We've been in the current location for 9 years, which is a long time, but unfortunately the location we're in is just dying the death of 1,000 cuts. So we're moving. Yeah, I'm already getting loads of people on Ocean go, wow, what a great location, and I'll pop in and say good day. And look, just because we are moving to a better location doesn't necessarily translate straight into sales. There's going to be still, you've got to put a good product out, you've got to keep that good service going and all that sort of stuff. And we're going to have new faces seeing us, which is very exciting for me. So really looking forward to it. I'll report back next week as to how that goes, provided we're doing a show next week, which I'm assuming we are.
We can do one this time next week, maybe.
Perfect. Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Well, anything else to add to this week's show, Ken?
Not really. I thought we did pretty well, considering we had 0 topics about 48 minutes ago.
We did sort of cobble this one together, so our apologies. But hey, we said, this thing's never going to be stressed.
No, we're not stressing it. So give a bit of background information to it. And again, no one listens to the end anyway. So, but if you give a bit of background.
We can say whatever we wanted right now.
We're
just talking to each other, mate.
We could say Canon is the best camera brand in the world and no one will hear it.
That's a good one.
To give a bit of background, Brendan sent me a message about 2 or 3 hours ago, said, we're recording tonight? I'm like, oh yeah, why not?
Sure.
What do you want to talk about? I don't know. We'll talk about it. So here we are. But I've got nothing else to add. Apart from G'day Chelsea, that's all I've got.
Oh, hi Chelsea. We will see you.
Still carrying on about mentions and dropping her name and stuff. But anyway,
absolutely. We'll see you for episode 47 of the Down South Photo Show next week. Bye now.
Cheers.